Alright, quick update on Kadena. So, Kadena's USD pair is starting to perk up a tiny bit. A lot of the altcoins are having some very, very minor bounces at this moment in time. For example, KDA is up about 2% on the day. This is because Bitcoin was able to have many daily and 4-hourly closes above our 13 EMA and the 618 Fibonacci. So, Bitcoin managed to hold support even when it was coming back very strongly into this box. And that's why we're seeing a bounce in a lot of the altcoin markets. But can this hold up? And more importantly, will Kadena hold up against Bitcoin? That's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. So let's start off with the USD pair, and as always, we're going to zoom out to the higher time frames and see if anything has changed, which it normally never has. You know, higher time frames I always do just like to highlight. From a Fibonacci perspective, even being conservative, drawing to the candle body close on the weekly instead of drawing to the wicks up here, you're long below your 786. And by the way, you know, if I drew it all the way up to the wick here, you would have been miles away from your 786. And this, to be honest, that 786 seems to have been respected a lot more than this one down here. So we're very bearish, don't get it twisted. I mean, I've been sitting on the sidelines for this since $6.50, and I don't plan on jumping into it anytime soon, especially when we have this weekly EMA flip that is really, really pushing so close. I mean, if we zoom in, look at this. The short-term moving average looks like it's gonna cross over in the next couple of days. Maybe the next weekly candle body close, we're already gonna see this flip over. I actually don't think there's any way that we're not gonna see this flip, because if we weren't gonna see this flip, this would need to move up exponentially to, you know, $5 or $6 or so. So bear in mind, you know, macro time frame, switching things over to the Heikonashis. We're currently not bearish, you know, we're sitting in a sea of red, or we're currently not bullish, we're sitting in a sea of red right now, and I am expecting lower price targets still on the USD pair. But that being said, bringing back our chart and zooming into what's going on the daily, you can see we've bounced down from the 13 EMA, which is this blue line right here. This is great at defining whether we're in an uptrend or a downtrend. You know, if I zoom out on this, if I hide the EMA ribbon so you can see it a little bit easier, you can see, you know, if we zoom all the way out, when we broke this originally, we were down here at $2. We rode it all the way up to $28, and the second we flipped it at $20, we just started massively landsliding. We had a flip of it at $10. That flip allowed us to move up almost 70%, almost to $17. We then had another bearish flip at it at $12, all the way down to $5. Flip at 5 carried us all the way up to 10, and you get the gist of it. You can see every time we move sideways and then converge below the 13 EMA, this is when we start to landslide. And quite recently, you know, you can see we've had multiple tests of this. We came up to this on the 5th of May, we got a huge rejection. We tried to flip this on the 16th of May, and then we got pushed back down. And now, the other day, we did try and test it, and we are kind of moving down from that move, but we are turning up in the lower time frames, which is not as expected as I thought. So I thought we'd be turning down sooner than this, but it seems like we're being supported. Now, where are we being supported from? From the candle body close. It seems like the bottom legs down here are being held up by your 786 Fibonacci. So the price to hold at this moment in time is really $2 on the dot. That's going to be a big psychological level, and that is your 786 Fibonacci from this low to this high of this trend. Now, zooming out, because we've got a bunch of other trend lines down here, $1.90, $1.93. It's a bit of a fat trend line, so it could be either of them, leaning more towards $1.90. This is also going to be a huge area of support over on Kadena. So $1.90 and $2. These are the areas that we really do want to hold, because if we do capitulate beneath these, then we're going to be coming back. Jeez, bless me. We're going to be coming all the way back to the bottom of this trend, probably below the candle body wicks, and we'd be coming all the way down to my area where I think Kadena is coming down to, which is $1. But more specifically, this is a support box between $1 and 80 cents. So I've been saying this since $6.50. I have been waiting for these much lower price targets, and I also have been saying you know, we may not make it all the way down to these price targets. I definitely don't recommend that people short down to these price targets. Like I've been saying, my trading plan was to sit on the sidelines while we wait for it to come down to $1, because like I've said in some of my videos, it's not outlandish to see these bounces in the market where, you know, even on these weak bounces we go up 22%, and, you know, quite recently a lot of people got out of bed for this move, and tons of people were saying, you know, Kadena to the moon, we went up 156%, we came right into the EMA ribbons, got rejected, and that was that. So be very, very cautious about getting out of bed for this before the move actually happens. The momentum indicators of choice, which is our squeeze bomb, has started to converge to the downside. But like I said, we've bounced on this $2 in the past 4 hours or so. We really don't have any volume coming in, which is a worrying signal on the USD pair. But where would we need to break for me to become bullish? Well, at least in the short term, let's give you a short-term target of where we could potentially have a big bounce coming in. So your 618 fib from this trend, if you do get above the 618 fib, not only will you be above the 618, you'll be above the 786. Not only will you be above those two, you will also be above the 13 EMA. So I'd say getting above the 618 at $2.32, that is your moon line. That is very ideal to get above, but bear in mind, just because we get above this target, this simply means that if we are still bearish, we could come up to $2.47, or we could even come up to $3.55 and still get rejected. I'm personally not planning on a bounce that high. I think we should be watching the 13 EMA, keeping our eyes on $2.25. If we do have a massive break of it, so be it. I will be updating you if I think we are breaking bullish on this. Like I've been saying, been covering this since $6.50. I will let you know when I personally plan on picking up some KDA, but, you know, every day we've been kind of dragging this down and showing that now, you know, we're almost 68% cheaper than when I initially started covering this, and I'm still sitting on the sidelines. I haven't ever bought, long, shorted KDA. I'm really just waiting for these lower price targets that I can enjoy. The Kadena market cap is currently sitting at around about 382 million. So it's really not the biggest market cap. It does have a pretty huge fully diluted market cap, so bear in mind only about 18% of the supply is out according to CoinMarketCap. That is probably the only red flag I'd say about this project. If you are in this for the long term, you have to, you know, basically face the fact that only a fifth of the supply is out, and the rest of that supply is going to get dumped over your heads within the coming, you know, years, decade, however long it takes to distribute the rest of the Kadena supply. That being said, Kadena against BTC is a slightly different story than what we're seeing against the USD. And if this is your first time on my channel, you might be wondering, well, why do we care about how an altcoin is performing against Bitcoin? Well, the fact of the matter is, at this moment in time, Bitcoin is massively capitulating in the long term, and it is moving into a bear market type phase. And while this has been happening, the Bitcoin dominance has been moving up exponentially. I mean, we moved up all the way down here from 41.5% all the way up to almost 47%. We've had a 13% move in the past 2 weeks or so over on the Bitcoin dominance, and we've been having this move because Bitcoin has been gaining major strength across all of the altcoins. If you don't believe me that Bitcoin hasn't been massively outperforming these altcoins, then just look at these altcoin pairs over on TradingView. If we go over to the weekly, I'm just going to brush through these, but this is how all of these altcoins are performing against Bitcoin. So this is not their USD pair. This is Gala performing against Bitcoin, Ape against Bitcoin, Axie, Engine. Once again, this is your KDA versus Bitcoin chart, and we've massively capitulated below the 786. This is showing, you know, extreme weakness in the market for these altcoins against Bitcoin. I mean, from the all-time high, KDA is down 84% against Bitcoin. And, you know, that might sound like a bottom to you, but I'm telling you, if you were here in 2018, you know that altcoins can go down 80% against Bitcoin, and then they can go down 80% again. Looking at Doge against Bitcoin, once again, look at all these altcoins. It doesn't matter what you're picking. I'm not cherry picking. I'm just scrolling through all my altcoin pairs. All of these altcoins are underperforming Bitcoin. Tron, short term, moving up. Longer term, though, lower high within a massive downtrend. GMT, since it's lost its hype, it's been moving down. So I'm not going to go through all of these altcoin pairs, you know, it's not necessarily. But looking at KDA, KDA is no exception. KDA is getting slaughtered against its Bitcoin pair. So I've been saying this, I don't know why so many people are piling into altcoins, and people have been buying the dip on KDA, you know, since very, very high price targets, and I've had people comment on my videos since I've been covering it at like $6.50, and people have been saying they've been buying the dip, but the price has done nothing but continue to move down lower. My theory on this, or my plan on this, is not to never buy KDA and to never expect that it will do well. It's simply to recognize that the trend is your friend until the end, and until we get above these EMA ribbons, until we start having these bullish flips of the 13 EMA, until we start getting above at least the 4-hourly EMAs, until we have a bullish flip of the 4-hourly EMAs, there's really nothing to discuss. So 13 EMA, $2.25, that would also put you above the EMA ribbons on the 4-hour, but most importantly, like I said, this is your 618, $2.30. If we manage to break $2.30, then I will be giving you a quick update. I will be live streaming later, so hopefully we do something like that later. But on the flip side, $2 and $1.93. These are your last lines in the sand before we do have a major capitulation down, and I don't see much support until we come down to $1. So take that into consideration when you are trading these markets. Like I said, I don't need to overanalyze KDA against BTC. It's getting absolutely wrecked right now. Even on the daily time frame, we zoom in and you see it's a different picture to what we're seeing against the USD pair. So don't be fooled. A lot of these altcoins, Kadena included, they can outperform the USD in the short term, but look at the Bitcoin dominance. If the Bitcoin dominance continues to break out, make sure you're looking at your altcoin BTC pairs, because if you're buying KDA or if you're buying any other altcoins, you're taking on tons of extra risk than if you were just buying Bitcoin. And there is no point in taking on tons of extra risk if you're not yielding extra reward. That's the whole point of it. You're taking on extra risk, you're hoping for extra reward. But look at the charts. I mean, you're not getting extra reward, you're just getting slaughtered. Looking at this KDA BTC chart and then thinking this is a good time to DCA is basically like flushing money down the toilet. I really think we should be waiting for the trend reversal. That's what I'm waiting for. That means that you won't be buying the exact bottom, but you will be able to buy as soon as we do have a flip and enter a bullish trend. And getting in at the start of these bullish trends is a great way to keep your sanity and get in for a quick flip to the upside. That's all I've got for KDA. I still do think KDA is moving to these lower price targets. In my last KDA video, I said it was going to move down 67% against Bitcoin. We've already moved down pretty harshly, so now it's about another 57% I'm predicting. Looking at your momentum indicators, we're getting a decent amount of volume coming in. To the downside, of course, and the squeeze bomb has once again flipped bearish as we've had this little bunny hill coming back over, trying to flip over into the bullish side, but all we did is M pattern down from the EMA ribbon. So I would be looking at KDA BTC as a leading indicator of what to expect from KDA USD. Meaning that in the short term, KDA USD can probably come up to 225, 230, but if we don't flip those levels, expect KDA BTC, which is the most important chart for KDA right now, to keep moving down. Keep your eyes on the Bitcoin dominance while this keeps on moving up. There's not much point in buying altcoins. That is just my trading plan. I think it's much better to accumulate Bitcoin while the Bitcoin dominance is going up. That's all I've got for you for KDA. As always, not financial advice. Cowboy out. Peace.